Hey Star Trek fans, welcome to the latest edition of the Disco Deep Dive, where I take a look at the Easter eggs, canon connections, and continuity bits from a recent episode of Star Trek Discovery. In this episode, we're talking about Season 3, Episode 4, Forget Me Not. Warning for spoilers: if you don't want to be spoiled for this episode, go watch it before watching this video. When Adira talks about the changes she has experienced since taking on the Tal symbiont, she mentions that she can cook a mean Bjorn Hasparat. Hasparat is a Bjorn dish seen a few times throughout Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. It is reportedly a spicy dish. Interestingly enough, the prop used when it was shown on screen was apparently flour tortillas with bell peppers and sour cream. Tilly mentions to Stamets that she has been working on a dark matter interface for the spore drive to replace him as the operator. We saw the beginnings of this research in early Season 2, back when Tilly was attempting to remove a sample of the dark matter asteroid that the Discovery picked up in that season's premiere episode. This was a nice little piece of continuity, talking about a project that she's been working on for some time. The Discovery journeys to the planet Trill in this episode. Trill was first seen in the Deep Space Nine third season episode Equilibrium. Here's a rundown of a bunch of the canon connections to the Trill that we've seen in previous episodes of Star Trek. First of all, the building that we see when they are on Trill's surface is very similar to the residence of Ezri Dax's mom, as seen in the Deep Space Nine episode Prodigal Daughter. This was a nice little touch that I've seen a few people online have missed when recounting some of the Easter eggs in this episode. We meet a number of representatives of Trill, including some Guardians. Guardians were first seen again in the Deep Space Nine episode Equilibrium and are responsible for tending the symbiont pools, the pools where the symbionts live before they are transferred into hosts. The pools are located in the caves of Makala, which we do also see in this episode. Guardian Z mentions isoboramine levels. Isoboramine is a neurotransmitter that regulates the connection between host and symbiont, again first mentioned in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We also see some examples of Trill script on a blanket that is placed around Adira towards the end of the episode. This script was first seen again on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Kudos for the set designers and writers for doing their homework. Several people online have been asking why it is that Burnham and Adira take a shuttlecraft down to the surface of Trill. I have a couple of theories regarding this. First of all, when we first meet the Trill in the Next Generation episode The Host, Ambassador Odan says that using the transporter is deleterious to the symbiont that he carries. While this was obviously a changed premise later when we see Lieutenant Dax in Deep Space Nine, there are a few explanations that could cover this. Perhaps transporter technology improved in the intervening years as the Federation became aware of the true nature of the Trill, or perhaps different symbionts react differently to the act of being transported. In either case, it seems to me prudent that the 23rd century transporters of the Discovery might be something that Adira would want to avoid until learning more. Fans of the Emmy Award-winning Canadian television series Schitt's Creek may recognize the actor who plays Leader Pav in this episode. She is Karen Robinson, who played the role of Ronnie Lee in that series. My wife, who's a big Schitt's Creek fan, was very happy to see her in this episode. In the course of this episode, we see the beginnings of what may be the AI construct of Zora, as seen in the Short Trek's episode Calypso. In that episode, we learn that the Discovery has sat alone for nearly 1,000 years, during which the ship's computer has evolved into an artificial intelligence. When Saru is querying the computer in this episode, we see the beginnings of that as the voice begins to change into the one familiar to viewers of Calypso. Definitely curious to see where this storyline goes, as the mystery of what exactly happened in Calypso is one that is very tantalizing to me. Towards the end of the episode, we get a glimpse of Adira's past hosts as she's communing with a symbiont deep within the Trill symbiont pools. Among these, we see a number of Starfleet officers, including Admiral Tall. There are a couple Easter eggs here, though, of course. We do see another Starfleet uniform that we have not seen previously, as well as a Star Trek Picard-era uniform, suggesting that the Tall symbiont is definitely more than just a few centuries old. The computer organizes a movie night to help the Discovery crew unwind, and we see that towards the end of the episode. This is very reminiscent of an ongoing tradition on the Enterprise NX-01, as seen in the series Star Trek Enterprise. Trip Tucker often organized movie nights for the crew, as a way to unwind from the stress of humanity's first foray into deep space at the speeds of Warp 5. And at the very end of the episode, we see that Adira is experiencing something that is not normal for Trill. She is seeing an image of Gray, one of her past hosts and her former boyfriend, and interacting with her as though he is really there. The closest we've seen to this before is the Deep Space Nine Season 7 episode Field of Fire, in which Ezri Dax performs a ritual that allows her to see one of her past hosts in order for him to help her with a murder investigation, in this case namely Duran Dax, the serial killer ex-host of the Dax symbiont. However, in this case, there is no sort of elaborate ritual to bring Gray forward, so exactly what is happening Adira doesn't know, nor does Gray, nor do presumably the rest of the past hosts. Well, those were all of the Easter eggs that I was able to find in the episode Forget Me Not. Were there any that I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, of course, to the Patreon supporters for your help in bringing these episodes to you. I really couldn't do it without you. And thank you, of course, to everyone else for watching these videos. I do appreciate it, and thank you for sticking with me during this past week where I've been trying to get a little caught up. Still a little bit behind, but definitely on track to get everything back on track very, very soon. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.